Back live with Blast R6 EUL. This is stage 2 with me, Ian. We got Fresh and Alfama. We have one best of one in the rear view, and now we're pushing on to the second. It is Team Secret versus Ence next. Let's start with Secret, shall we? Leo, you're very disappointed in this roster.
Yeah, I expected a lot from them, actually. I expected a lot from them because at the major, at Manchester, I saw them perform so well, so well. Everybody didn't expect them to qualify for Manchester. Then there, they actually beat FaZe. They had a crazy run. And also in a really good fashion, incredible confidence, incredible gunplay. Every round felt like a frag movie. And then they didn't qualify to EWC. And ITB, that I saw worse than them, they did qualify, and they did do better. So in the long run, I was thinking more of them as like maybe that top contender that's gonna consistently qualify from Europe, and I haven't felt that. And I'm just hoping to see a new version of themselves.
Do you still have the faith, Fresh?
I do still have the faith in Team Secret, unlike my good friend over here. I think if you look at the transfers, they've obviously moved Miracle back on. He's, maybe gone back to Brazil, and they've picked up Virtue.
World champ.
He's won a world champion. That's what I was trying to say. He's won a hammer. Trying to say both things at once. He's won a hammer with G2. One of the top players in Europe. They've picked him up, and they retained the services of Grubby. Now, that seemed a little bit weird because it seemed like he wasn't going to be on the roster.
Yeah.
4 or 5 days before the transfer deadline, he's back on the roster. So that's my only reservation about Secret, is that they've not been playing with this full 5 over the summer. But apart from that, I really do like this Secret roster.
It does feel like a very different situation from the first stage. Well, the first stage, it felt like they had prepared in the shadows, that had an amazing roster change, and then they were coming in with a honeymoon, and it's exactly what we saw in Manchester. Hype club. Everybody was hyped. Everybody was hitting his shots. But now, with that Grubby move that's benched and then coming back, I don't know if they have the same mood. And now we have Virtue, which I believe is, yes, a great step up, but is he going to mesh well with that aggression? For sure, it's an improvement on the paper. Now I need to see about them meshing well and being that collectively good, because what works with them is being able to aggress together.
Well, Ence are their opponents. Let's find out how this team is feeling ahead of this stage.
Basically, I think this season we have no choice to go top 4 to at least go into playoffs and try to qualify for the major. So I think every team has their chance to come back in the second stage and make the points to go to Canada. But if I have to pick one, I would say think Virtus Pro.
Right, every single team here has a chance of making it to Montreal, and that is, of course, the goal. It's the home of Siege. We've talked about it already, and it is in touching distance at the back end of this year. Now, these guys made a return to Siege back in March for a swing at stage 1. Didn't go exactly how they'd want it to, but Fresh, this time they've got a bit of an EUL star joining their ranks.
Yeah, they've added a Lems to their roster. Now, they were much criticised in stage 1 as well, because they were running a 6-man roster. They had Frenchie, they had Jax, and they have the 4 guys you see from left to right on your screen. They've done away with that. Thankfully, I think everyone's happy with that. They've added in a Lems. Now, the reason that I like the Lems addition is what we hear about this roster is that they are very emotionally charged. Not even charged, emotionally supercharged. And the Lems will calm that down. He brings a wealth of experience. He will allow them to stay in that middle territory that you want to maximize the potential of everybody on this roster.
And I feel like what they've done in first stage with that 6-man roster was exactly in the long term what they needed to know what was working and what wasn't. In the end, they kept the players that meshed better together, and then they improved by also adding a top-tier player that has a history of joining top-tier teams and bringing them to new heights. I think Lems has joined many teams in his past years of career. He's been there for 8 years, 9 years now, and every time he manages with his team to have incredible major results. And now I think it's even better because Kai's, I think, was one of the most anticipated in-game leaders in France, and he has an amazing shot caller on his side as well. So overall, it brings stability, it brings experience, it makes that roster better. Is it going to make them that much better than they were missing that last step last time to qualify to major? Maybe that's the missing step they were lacking.
Is that what they were missing? Do you think that last puzzle piece was a bit of an old head that could come in and guide the ship?
I think so. I think you saw rounds where they'd lost their heads in stage 1, which was the difference between a 5-7 loss or a 7-5 victory. Very close games they had sometimes where they didn't quite get over the line. And I think a Lems will help them get over that line alongside the experience of having had stage 1 beneath them now.
I think ultimately, Fresh, what we need to see from this team going in stage 2 is cohesion, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's so important. They've got it now. Like you said, they've settled on the 4 that they like. They've added a Lems into it. It's now about building. They set those blocks. It's now about building on top of those blocks and getting the results they want. Like I said, they are quite emotionally driven. I know they felt that they should have done better in stage 1, but they do need to remember that they were the new kids on the block, right?
Yeah.
They were the new kids on the block, and everyone will see them as such. And they got taught some very, very harsh lessons. As long as they've learned those lessons, I think things will be good for Ence.
Yeah, I think if you look at them, yes, they were emotionally charged, but that tells you a lot about their expectations. Coming in here, they hadn't faced a lot of tier 1 teams. They used to be a tier 2 team, facing them whenever there was an open qual, but they had no experience preparing a tier 1 match, for example, or anticipating that they would have a counter strat against them, for example. All of this they had to learn on the flow last stage. And they have learned now. Are they ready to really perform? That's the answer I'm looking for tonight.
I really like the term emotionally charged, because I feel like I'm emotionally charged about a lot of things. We all are, right? But it's having the ability to channel those emotions in the right way to lead you to victory.
Yeah, it's about not letting games get by you when you've suffered. You know, if you've had a death that's absolute bullshit, or you've lost a round that's bullshit, or you've won a round from bullshit and you're just at the heights, it's about being able to get back into the middle, get back into the swing of things and just keep playing that game. And that's where I do feel that they got lost in the sauce a lot in stage 1. You know, you saw rounds and they're trying to do too much to win a perfect siege round when they could just win it. And like I said, that's why I like Lems, because I think he'll narrow that. He'll bring them into the middle emotionally, and I think they'll see much more success because of that.
Will they? Let's find out where it will all go down here for our second map of the day. Talk us through the picks and bans, Leah.
Yeah, I think overall nothing too surprising. You look at Secret and Ence and their map vetoes. It usually goes that way. They ban their least preferred map and the best preferred map. They actually match pretty well. Like nothing too unexpected here, Jack.
Yeah, I think it was fairly expected that we would get down to a border chalet, as you say, with Lair being the big unknown. Obviously, Secret first banned it, indicating that they do not play this map. However, the final ban for Team Secret's the curious one for me. They banned away Border, a map that they absolutely love. They'll play it against absolutely anybody. They banned that away to go to Chalet. Now, I would speculate that Secret beat Ence on Chalet in the EWC quals, and that's the reason. Keep them in that same comfort zone, keep them in that map that we've already played them on, 2 months ago, and then we'll play them, and Secret won that map, and we'll beat them on it again.
And knowing Akdar, the coach of Ence, I think he's the guy that is prep heavy, that has counter strats, and I think he was expecting that those last 2 final maps, he was expecting maybe to go to Borders, and if that's the case, he had starts prepared for it. But Chalet as well, they're not going into a rematch blind. For sure, they have something prepared here.
When it comes to Secret, let's just get back to the roster for a moment. How shrewd do you think that signing was of Virtue? Because when G2 dropped him, how many eyes do you think across our league and beyond were on him?
I think it's an interesting one because of the way that our league works, right? You're looking at 3 teams that are predominantly French, in BDS, in Ence, and in Wolves. So he couldn't have gone there, or the Russian team.
Yep.
And actually after G2, there's only 4 teams he could have gone to. So I think one of the 4 teams was always going to pick him up because he has that experience. He's played in 2 different regions. He's played at the top level for such a long time, and he's a very level-headed guy. One of the things that comes out of the Secret camp from time to time is they can get quite emotional as well. They can get quite tilted. And so I think Virtue will bring them a little bit more maturity into that roster. There's some guys that are not brand new, but are still pretty new in their careers on that roster. And I think Virtue being, he's going to accept me saying this, Virtue being an old guy in Siege will bring that, closer.
All right, 2 teams with 2 players joining their roster who can potentially help, using their experience, guide them to an ultimate victory here to kick off stage 2. Let's get into this one with Dezinis.
Thank you very much, Ian. Yes, ready for our second game of the day, Tim. And you said earlier on during Map 1 that this was the game you're really looking forward to. And I'm with you. It's 2 real titans of European Siege have joined rosters, and now we're going to smash them together and see who comes out on top. I can't wait to see how it goes.
Hearing Virtue described as an old guy in Siege has done nothing for me, Des. Absolutely nothing. Honestly, Virtue, don't worry about it.
How
you've
old
never
is he?
seen anywhere near it.
Do you know how old he is?
Don't.
He's 29, mate. He's old, Tim, apparently.
Virtue, you're fine. Ignore him. You're absolutely fine, mate. Don't you worry. You've got at least 10 good years left in you. I can speak from experience. Hopefully.
And they'll come where else. To be fair, he doesn't strike me as the kind of character that'll get behind the desk and start screaming into a mic like we did, to be fair.
coming in at 39. I hope they've been my best 10 years and they're continuing. That's all I'll say. So don't you worry about it, Virtue. I've got your back.
Well, someone's got it. To be fair, I look back at Virtue and his time on G2, and many were saying, you know, he's one of the best players there is. He just doesn't really kind of make himself stand out in a sense. He's never really played the sexy entry roles, for example. He wasn't the kind of guy to go and do interviews or be particularly outspoken. He just quietly went about his business. And I think this is a really good chance for him to kind of show that he is this superstar player that many believe him to be. And I'm really excited to see how he steps up. Bans have flown on through, though, as you can see. And Dekebi is the main ban I'm looking at there, Tim, and saying, thank God that's taken away, because we saw on the last map just how impressive she is. That will continue for a long time, I can practically guarantee. I just checked, I didn't realize you were actually 39 as well. I thought you were like 37. Wow. I really am casting with an old man. This is great.
Wow. Wow. Give it a rest, man. Wow.
I genuinely thought you were younger, Tim.
Attackers need to locate and defeat
The big 4-0 next year, Tim. You excited?
I can't get too excited. I'm worried I might throw my hip out.
What are we doing for it, Tim? We're going to play some golf. What are we doing?
Oh, dearie me. Oh, right, let's move on to Chalet before I
know what we're doing for your 40th, Tim. That's what I'm really excited about now.
See, I've never really been bothered about milestones like that, like turning 30 and stuff. I thought it was great. Like, you know, I
tell you what, Tim, I've got it for you. Leave it to me. I'll make sure it's a fantastic day.
5 seconds to go.
I don't want to.
You got no choice. You got no choice.
Let's get into it. We've got Secret, we've got Ence, we've got what could be one of the matchups of the day without a question. Ence we saw really grow into the last stage, struggled a bit, you know, when things first kicked off, but then they had that great run through LCQs, really started to firm things up. Fresh has spoken on the desk there about the 6-man roster, and I think it's a tough esport to do it in, to be trading, you know, players in and out. I can't think of an example where we've really seen it work consistently really well. So, yeah, I think getting in here for them now, they've got the 5 locked, they've got a Lems on. I'm expecting Ence to push on strength to strength, but it's a tough start for them against last stage's second place team.
That's it. You got a bit of experience now, right, for Ence. I think there's a lot they've learned from that stage 1. They've now got the vet on side that we keep on speaking about as well. There's plenty they can do, and sure enough, trade play coming in again, like we saw on the previous map. Adrian gets a kill, but there's immediately a response, and Azox has found second, has broke this team apart, Tim. Rykos into another. Suddenly, 3 kills coming out for Ence inside the first 60 seconds, and Secret are reeling at this point. You've got Savage down the road who's trying to get anything done, but simply is not going to have the chance, and Tim, he's going to be very, very used to this from the G2 days. Virtue is basically guaranteed here to be left in a 1vx.
Azox will make sure that is the case as he picks up Savage. And as you say, Virtue in a little bit of a trial by fire here, coming in first EUL game with the new team, manages to pick up Naquo. That's going to get him 1. He's got 3 more
Surely
to
not.
find. He's got 1 minute 25 on the clock. Certainly not going to be an easy one to hold on for, because Ence, they just need to play this smart here. Get the diffuser into sight, put it down. Just keep yourself out of those obvious lines of sight. Nitro goes out. That could find its mark.
Tell you what.
1v4 becomes a 1v2, Des. This is becoming winnable. He knows. He knows.
If he gets the 1, it's all he's got to do. No! I'll tell you what, Tim, your heart was screaming then for the old men everywhere that he'd pull off a 1v4. It just wasn't quite meant to be. But you're right. Heard him running above on the floorboards. Almost won the 1 versus 1. And Ence almost let that one slip through their fingers. Azox went nuclear to start. It was breakneck pace, as said. 3 kills inside 60 seconds. Just couldn't quite get the convert there. Virtue's so close to pulling it off.
What an opening round we had there. Ence, you know, those are the areas that we, you know, need to see that growth continue. It was a good round from them. You know, they won those gunfights early on. They've got to be careful, you know, they've got to be careful they don't become one of those teams that kind of throw those leads away and become known for it. It was fine. They closed it out. The 2v1 did the job. But even then, it felt like they kind of gave Virtue a little bit of an opportunity in that 1v2. Skies manages to get the kill, but what happens if he doesn't? His teammate wasn't in a position to challenge Virtue, really. Not immediately. So Virtue had time to reposition. He could have then dashed up the stairs and got himself the vertical. You know, there are many options for Virtue, and a player like Virtue with his, you know, wealth of experience is gonna have all those options in the forefront of his brain, and he's gonna make decent choices, as he already had. So yeah, for me, Ence, a little bit more caution in that situation. They had an age left on the clock. We know exactly where he is. He's on solar stairs. Skies can hold on that top position and just wait for his teammate to get into position. It's little things like that just to sharpen up. But let's remember, it's round one, play day one of EUL. It's not the end of the world. Ence get it done, and it's a good start for them.
It's the kind of thing they'll shake out of their system as well. Like I said, a bit of experience from stage one they're working through as well. No doubt trying to figure things out with the new identity with the Lems in seat as well. Yeah, back on that last map, same sort of story for Wolves. We saw a couple of the mistakes coming through. Not going to be able to bandit trick this one away. The left side gets opened up and tries to run, but gets caught out on his retreat there. Adrian paying the price. But just around at that point, yeah, I think for Ence there, it's a bit slippy trying to deal with Virtue, who was moving. If he was static, they get a great crossfire. They get the 2v1. Realistically, though, in a 4v1, that should have been closed out a long time ago, or certainly not going down to a 2 versus 1. But Virtue definitely making it hard for them and showing a bit of that experience. Either way, they're up on the 1. They've got the entry here. It's another good start for Ence. Last time round, it was those 3 kills inside 60 seconds. Here, things are breathing a little bit more, and they've caught out Adrian, who overstayed his welcome there on that garage wall.
Got the clash to deal with. That is going to be a challenge at least. Virtue could well just create a little bit of value in the 4 versus 5 situation. If you can just tie up a couple of those attacking operators having to deal with him. I'm looking at their options. They've got the EMPs on touch that can at least disable the electrification of the shield. But more importantly, I'm looking at that fire arrow potentially from Lems. That could be a real key in just forcing Virtue into a bad position, forcing him to drop that shield. Could be a real important moment. Azox does manage to find Grubby, and that's going to leave them now 5 versus 3. And Ence in the second round, they're doubling down, and they're continuing to look good here, Des.
Yeah, hitting some nasty shots as they go as well. Great one from June, though. Had the read, though. And June, I think I'll give him a shout-out as well. A player that we've really seen go from strength to strength over time, as well as dance his way around a little bit. We've seen him playing in some, I suppose, unofficial teams, you might call them as well. Think back to Delta, for example, under Fabian. He's sung a lot of praise on towards June, just saying he's a player that has really grown into something special here. We saw him, of course, go on to the major as well on the last stage. Still plenty of opportunity for him to keep on growing. We'll see how things pan out, though. With this now being into a 4 versus 3, advantage still sits with Ence. The problem is, though, Tim, you're against a clash on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we do expect the attackers on Chalet to be picking up a couple of rounds. You know, really, I think Secret, if they can get away with 3 defenses here, it's not the end of the world for them. But they could do with picking one up sooner rather than later. Savage does manage to find Skies. Doom, he gets involved, and Secret have got these match winners, Des. They've got players who can stand tall in the face of threats, and that's exactly what they do down in the basement. Really nice final 10 seconds there. Secret, they weren't flustered, they weren't panicked, they had their positions, they knew they had that clash shield from Virtue as well, who could play reasonably in the open, feed them that intel, feed them that information, burn the clock down and force Ence to take a risk, force them to have to make a move, and they punished them when they did. Well played from Secret.
I'm going to sound like I'm really in love with Virtue speaking about him again there, but the movement at the end of round, same as the prior one, perfect. I know in the previous round he lost the gunfight, but his movement upstairs was right. That round there, he moved from blue on the clash straight in towards Garage and got himself into the default plant spot at the bottom of lobby stairs. By virtue, play on words, by very virtue of being there, they can't then use that as a default plant spot. They've got the smoke off onto the mirror window, they're hoping that'll be enough for them, but him being there, feeding information, making them have to look at him because otherwise he can spin out and shoot them, it just gives so much agency to the rest of his team to pull that off. And like I said, even in a 4v3, you're against the Clash. The Clash wasn't the one getting the kills, but was decisive towards that round end. Really well played by Secret to win things out there in a numbers disadvantage. What a piece, though. Another good game underway, it feels like, Tim. That first game was a banger, and this one has already started that way after just 2 rounds.
It's going to be like that all night, Des. Honestly, like I say, I sat and went through all the matchups over the last couple of days. You know, I've been getting up to speed with everything. And at least the first 3 of them, you know, yeah, it's always going to be a difficult start for anybody against BDS, or maybe that last game. We'll see how it goes. We don't know what to expect from Wild, but we do know what to expect from BDS, and it's going to be tough for them. But yeah, certainly, you know, this game, G2 Fnatic, I'm expecting to be down to the wire as well. And so far, so good. They are absolutely delivering, and EQ Siege is coming out with a banger of a first play day as Azox goes in, takes out Savage, but then is traded by Adrian 4 versus 4.
I tell you what, you could send Azox into a firestorm and he'd come out having quelled the whole thing without using a drop of water. The man is so happy to get in and take these really aggressive entries. Doesn't matter what you throw at him to try and slow him down, he's consistently got in and found himself a kill or 2 at the start of these rounds, up to 5 for himself. The question now comes to the rest of his team, who between them only have 3 kills, Tim. Where do those kills come from to bring down the last 4 players on the side of Secret?
Holding a tight angle there to side. Isn't going to catch anybody out on the movement. Grubby, again, just holding this really key mezzanine position, using the Azami, using the Kiba barricades, playing in behind that utility. And it's more smart play from Secret, similar to what we saw in the last round. However, Ence are able to push themselves forward and start taking a little bit of ground inside of sight here, Des. This is getting pretty aggressive, but they're going to be cut down from the doorway. Virtue, he's not going to be caught out by movement like that, trying to sneak on into sight, manages to find his man. 4 versus 3, and this is going to be difficult now. 1 minute 10 left to go. Secret still on the vertical. Ence haven't cleared them out. They're going to have to take some top floor gunfights. They're going to have to start pushing and taking a few risks, because without that control, there's no way they can think about getting the diffuser down.
It's how much utility they've dived with that's got me here, really, Tim, as well. Your Capital's gone in. You've lost quite a bit from that. Yeah, a little bit used upstairs. You've still got 3 Forest drones in back pocket and EE1D. You've got so much to play with, but they're running in and just taking blind gunfights, Tim, and being absolutely picked apart by the other side. A Lems with it all to do. And again, questions will come. Where was that utility when you needed it most? Because now Secret have got a 3 versus 1, and this round looks like a far gone conclusion. 8 HP left to his name. Lems, it's going to just whisper on him and he'll die at this point. And sure enough, Virtue, I believe they're closing out a 3K in the round, Tim.
Not really sure what the plan was for Ence there. You know, Baron Gaming, it's a well-established attacking site that you take top floor, you work your verticals, you need control of library. Azox went in and got the kill onto Savage, big start. But Ence then didn't really follow in. They've, you know, yes, Adrian was there for the trade, so it ends up 4v4, but you've got a bit of space. That's not actually necessarily the end of the world losing in that trade, because you've got a really important kill by taking Savage out. You start to open things up a little bit. Not only that, but the dock is gone as well, so there's a load of extra HP you've just taken off the board. There was an opportunity to try and clear Grubby out from mezzanine. He never really came under any massive pressure after that point. Instead, it was a crouch walk into the middle of sight, and I'm just not really sure what the plan was there, Des. For me, you've got to continue with that top floor clearance. You've got your man taking out a library, look to clear mezzanine, top of blue stairs, and then put some pressure onto Secret. They were able to move around. Virtue was able to walk up and kill the man crouch walking into sight because there was no pressure from blue stairs. There was no pressure from dining, main door, mezzanine. There was no pressure anywhere else. So the movement was easy for Secret and well recognized by them. They got themselves in some good positions and held on very nicely.
Where I feel Secret are really coming out on top, and it's very obvious, I think, again, looking at the kills on the side of Ence, Secret are winning out in the later round. It doesn't matter if they're a man or 2 down, they're still happy to win things out. It's true, it feels like really superior team play. Whereas on the other side for Ence, everything is coming from Azox, the man on your screen right now. He has been the one making things happen in the early round for his team. Yes, no doubt with support from the rest of the team of Ence, but he's been the one making the difference. So I think if the plan is to shut him down on Secret's side, you start asking, what else have Ence got in the tank? Where do they come away with a win off the back of this one? So him being on the gridlock here, a little bit slower, gonna take things down a gear, take it back a little bit, slow down to a walk rather than a run, and see how they can do things as a team. I don't think it's a terrible idea. If Azox can be unlocked in the mid-round instead of rather having to be the focal point, the main focus, where Secret are directing all of their attention, where he isn't going to be shut down as easily, that could really change their fortunes.
Swapping
Doom's just going to be holding this angle from in behind the utility, and again, it just speaks to the patience that Secret have been pretty happy to play with over the last couple of rounds. We saw it from the clash. You know, as you said, Virtue just taking his time, getting himself into good position. Secret know that they don't need to be overly aggressive here. They don't need to get up in the faces of Ence. They can kind of just let them play into them a little bit. You know, and once they try to take that space, then they can start trying to hurt them. Grubby is putting those keeper barricades to work once again. We saw it in the last round, holding on to Library. This time it's going to be holding onto that piano position. And again, a lot of Secret's gameplay seems to me to be focused around where is the plant spot going to be and how do we hold control of that specific space.
Ence have been really slow at this so far. 2 minutes have elapsed almost here, and they've got no real push or control coming in towards piano. They need this top floor control to make the execute work, but as it stands, they're not really bothered. At least this round we're seeing the utility coming out of the side of Ence. But Tim, well, less than 60 seconds to go. Rykos has still got 2 Flores drones in back pocket. They are so painfully slow in this round. This isn't what I meant when I said, let's see Azox on the gridlock slowing things down. I still meant let's try and move with a bit of pace, but let's do it together. And here it's just taking a bit too much time. And I worry, Tim, they're going to have to flood site here and hope for the best. And Secret are going to eat them alive.
Yeah, more than likely, Adrian manages to pick up Skies. That's going to leave us 5 versus 4. Opening kill to Secret. And Ence, as you say, they've just taken so much time to get this done. They're now trying to sort of sit and hold angles across this top floor, but Secret don't need to move anywhere. They've got the verticals onto site. They're holding onto piano. They're just preventing a plant spot. However, they've managed to sneak in here of Ence. The Nitro goes out the wrong way. Nako sticks it, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough, Des. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to say Secret were focused on that plant spot in the early round, holding those verticals. Ence have got away with one there, but I think they just don't have enough to hold on to it in the post plant.
Like I say, Tim, they've absolutely eaten them alive here. Ence, it's very rare, I think, these days that you see a team be so slow. I mean, it sounds bad, but when I've seen this happen, it's been in teams in like Japan 2 years ago. But they really ground that one down to 50 seconds left. They got nothing in terms of piano. Sure, they had a gridlock track going down in case the swing was coming on through, but that was about it. And I'll come back to what I said about Rykos. 2 of those Flores drones in back pocket with 55 seconds on the clock is not a great spot to be in. If you've got a Flores on side, you need to be getting to work pretty quickly. But Secret, they're more than happy to let a round play out slowly, because like you saw, Tim, they absolutely crushed them. Outside of this little one kill that came upstairs and a missed C4, if that's the most errors you're going to make in a round, you'll take that every single day of the week. And dare I say, Ence, it still looks like this team is trying to work things out and pull themselves together. Secret looking like a well-oiled machine so far, incredibly dominant.
Yeah, very good over the last couple of rounds. Like you said, just not overextending, not playing into anything that they don't need to. You know, I think they've recognised over round 3 and 4 particularly that if left to their own devices, Ence may not take all the space that they need, as was the case in round 4, or, sorry, as there was the case in round 3, or that they may well not push in aggressively enough and may not, you know, use the clock well enough, may not move quickly enough as they did in round 4. And I think Secret, you know, are happy to use those 2 things to just kind of hold themselves back. They don't need to be doing anything special here. Just let Ence play their attacking game and punish them as they get into that later round.
Still here, just taking things nice and slow. Arguably even slower. Now we've gone from a gridlock to a blitz, of all things. Really hoping for the best here. But of course, still got quite a bit of pace on it. Can still get up in the face and be aggressive. But with that shield, is a little bit safer. Main concern I'll put onto that one, though, Tim, is you're putting your main gunner onto a shield. Is that the best use of him? Maybe not. Time will tell. We'll see how things bleed on. But otherwise, looking across the rest of that team, I feel bad coming back to it, but there's 4 kills across the other members of the team after 4 rounds, Tim. It has been a really slow showing from most of them. Azox really has only been there shining light, and I think in this round being on a shield, it's not quite the place to be in. Either way, as long as they move faster, I'll feel happy.
Going to be moving faster across the rooftop. Well, that's not really going to help them at taking any map control at the minute. A little bit of a relocate, a little bit of a rotation coming in there from Azox on the blitz. I think just recognizing the location of the Vigil and saying we need to use that blitz for a little bit of roam clearance, get the shield in and just get aggressive up into their faces. But a minute and a half into the round, as we've spoken about the clock, we've spoken about time, still, we don't have anybody from Ence confidently inside of the map. They are burning a lot of time here in secret. Are they up at windows? Are they up looking to take challenges? No, not really, because they don't need to.
I say no need. If Ence are playing this slow, it's like, okay, we'll just sit and wait for you to come to us. It's not that big a deal. So far, it's worked out pretty well in the previous round. All this utility still in back pocket as well. Look at it. Outside of an EMP and an exothermic, that's all we've really seen expended by the Ence side so far with 60 seconds to go. If this was a team like Wolves Sim, I'd be ecstatic because they'd be exploding onto site with all this utility, really causing grief for the other side. But we've got to see that conviction in them to be able to hit hard and hit fast. 45 seconds to go. This execute has to come soon.
Natro comes out and no choice for Azox but to run away, as you can see now, down to seriously low health though, and that's going to mean that those defenders can just start challenging onto his feet. They've failed to find the utility. There's all the information for Secret here. 30 seconds left to go. The Kiba barricades are causing problems again. Doom manages to find one. Virtue taken down, flank. 4 versus 4, but Doom, it is going to be death from above as he comes into mezzanine and finds another, and this is just going from bad to worse for Ence at the minute. The Blitz trying to work through sight, can get nothing going as Adrian takes what little life Azox had left, and it's all up to the Capitao of Alems to come in and try and make something happen. 1v4 becomes 1v3, but Savage is there to close it out. Very little could be done at the end from Ence, and that is going to be 4-1 Secret, and they are reading this Ence team like a book.
It looks a bit too easy, doesn't it, Tim? Far, far too easy. The big question that I think will come out of many people's lips is, well, just think it in your mind either way. If you don't want to say it out loud, you can try and say it with me. How on earth are they taking 2.5 minutes to get themselves into a spot to execute, yet they haven't cleared off Doom on the roam, they haven't got rid of Valkyrie cameras, there's just so much still working against them, despite them playing things so what they would probably describe as being methodical. They want to be careful about things, they want to drone everything out, and they want to make sure that execute is going to work. Yet so many things are working against them there because they haven't done the droning properly, they haven't cleared out the map fully, and they've been stung in the backside as a result. Playing fast was where they had their greatest success, arguably. Azox, I want to see him back on more aggressive operators. I think being on the gridlock and across on towards the blitz really weren't it. The first couple of rounds is where we saw the most success for them, shown by that one single round they've got. Since then, though, it has been absolute domination by Team Secret, who are more than happy to sit back and let Ence try and play their game, knowing full well they're going to take far too long to do it. This could prove to be a really quick map if this carries on.
Yeah, I mean, Ence just need to get everybody firing, don't they? They've got 2 kills between 3 players. Scarsteco and Rakos inside of 5 rounds. It's just not enough at this level. They need everybody firing. You know, and it's not down to everybody to get an ace every single round, but they're definitely going to need more contribution here because by contrast, for Secret, everybody's getting involved as we've got Savage and Virtue on 5, Doom 4, Adrian 5, Grubby 3. Everybody's having their moment, and so you've effectively got a 5v3, a 5v4 all the time, and it's really good stuff from Secret. And again, Grubby just allowed to escape there. He's got to lose his life in that position.
Allowed to escape? Allowed to escape? The man's got away with daylight murder. How on earth he survived that? A line of sight direct as it'll come and skies us with every single shot completely baffles me. But here we go. They've come at pace and shock horror Tim. Who's leading the charge? It's no one other than Azox. Onto a faster operator, has got in, found 2 kills, opened things up for his team, and they've managed to make it work. The Grim coming online as well, at least penning this one player who's sat on backstairs. It's Adrian waiting, finds a C4, but they can smell blood in the water, Tim. There is one player left to pick up here. It's Adrian, and he's going to have to dip himself away. Finally,
dip himself far enough away as Neko manages to pick up that final kill. Ence locked down around, and it's never a bad one to get round 6. At least you've got the momentum at the switch of the half. You've just broken the back of what Secret were trying to do. They were looking for 5 rounds in a row there. As it is, they come away with the 4-2 half on the defense of Chalet, which I'm sure they're going to be pretty happy with. They just now need to make sure that they carry that through on to the attack. This is actually where Ence could settle down a little bit now. They can play their own game more. There's less, problem solving for them to do. They can be the one to set the puzzles. They can be the one to set themselves up. It's not a game against the clock for them anymore. It's going to be working for them. So I think we might actually see
shot on him.
Done. I was just trying to breeze past it there. So just, we've all been there. I was just trying to breeze past it for him, but
no,
sorry,
not allowed. But what I will say again is, I was calling for the prior couple of rounds. Let's see Azot's getting something more aggressive and be part of the team. You took him on Ash and you all charge into office, 3 of you exploding forward at the same time. And Secret, after having 2 or 3 rounds, which were basically a snooze fest, have managed to then get caught completely off guard and Ence have completely blitzed them. It is only 2 rounds. It is Chalet on the attack. You'd hope for 3, if not 4. But I still think there at least a little bit of recovery being shown. And Tim, if I've learned anything from Siege over the last 5-6 years, it's been a long old time. There are 2 halves to a game of Siege. You could very well see them crumbling on the other side now, and sure enough, Rykos up at the window collects Adrian for free with the Boss G. That's the Ying offline. Such a crucial pick to find, as there is no Warden on the Ence lineup.
Yep, you don't get to choose them, but they don't come much better than that. I would put Thermite and Ying at the top of my list as priority picks for a spawn peak, and they've just got an absolute belter there. No less than Adrian as well. We know his fragging capability. Looks like it's going to get aggressive here. The Blitz is ready to go, just waiting for those smokes. Straight in. Opportunity to plant is going to be taken. Savage looking to get it done. Surely they can't get away with this. The glass does get taken down, but ultimately the plant is stuck, and now Ence find themselves in a position after a brilliant opener and taking the Ying down. They've still allowed that plant to happen, but the fight back is on.
Try and do what they can here. It's down to just the Blitz, and he knows full well that window is a massive security risk. It doesn't matter, as the C4 is enough, done and dusted. And for a moment, Tim, I really thought the comp they had looked like it could pull something off there. They still had like 8 smokes in back pocket, even with 1 player dead. And I was like, yeah, they can pull something off here. They can work some magic, because there is no Warden on the other side, like we remarked when the Ying went down. Still, great closeout. Rykos there, absolutely running the show in that round. Setting the tone, I imagine, for what much of this second half is going to be all about. It's going to be out and out aggression from this Ence side. I love to see it, given how slow they were in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, Secret did a good job to get that plant down still. It was kind of like, I think it was kind of like, right, let's just continue with the plan, even though we've lost the Ying, because the Ying would have been the one to support getting that plant down, get the Candelas in. But ultimately, this just goes to show, I did say, earlier in the night, if you've got good aim, you might want to look at the Boss G, because a lot of people are loving it at the minute, and that's the reason why. It's a 1-shot down at good distance, and then you can just pick up the kill afterwards. It was really nice start from Rykos. He's not going to get away with it again. He's not going to try it again. It works once, and it's just brought them around. Great stuff from Ence.
10 seconds left before insertion.
All right, game on hands. Yes, away we go. If Ence get this one, things draw up to 4-4, and it really does start to feel a spicier close to the game. After when we were down at 4-1, I thought, man, this could end up being a 7-2 absolute stomp by the side of Secret. But I said 2 halves to a game of Siege. You've really got to see Secret figure out how they want to play this half now. They've got to stop getting caught out in the early round. Yes, it's only the 1 first kill, but 1 can become 2, can become 3, and before you know it, you never really get the chance to pull off a solid attack. I think their lineup in this round as well looking a lot more conventional, looking towards that soft destruction with the Sledge and the Book on side. A combo you very rarely see these days. Does suggest we're going to see things starting off on the upstairs, which means a roam clear needs to come in first.
Just waiting for that castle barricade. That's the sort of teamwork that I love. It's something that maybe you can take away to your own ranked games. Going up and, hitting that barricade yourself, even if you're the sledges that, that can do it in 1 shot, you've still then got to switch to your gun. You've got to be ready. But working as a team like that, it just has that surprise factor. Bang, the castle barricade goes. The shots are already raining in. If you know somebody's rough position, it can be a great way to catch an early kill. It was a nice attempt from Secret, just didn't quite pay dividends for them.
And I want to come back to a point earlier about Rykos. I was talking about the use of the Flores drones. Really, inside 60 seconds here, Groovy's got down, got 2 out on field already, about to use the 3rd as well. This is much better in terms of pace. Let the rest of your team start doing the setup work for you. You want to start hunting down this crucial utility. Sure, potentially a lot of it to worry about when there's the Azami on side, because we've still got a couple more of those Kiva barriers in back pocket here for Naquo. But it's more stuff to chew through. You've got to worry about the castle barricade. You've got to worry about the Azami. Plenty to worry about, as well as laser gates to potentially burn through. Yeah, that's what they've got to face off against here. Savage going to find himself already going down here. Crucial soft destruction taken away. The Sledge still on side for now. Doom getting the trade back the other side, though, so it's not all doom and gloom for the side of Team Secret.
No, and again, you know, we said it about Wolves. I'll say it about Secret, generally speaking. I think the trade play has been pretty good. They don't tend to find themselves too far behind in terms of man count. They're always giving themselves an opportunity to win the round, or at least have an opportunity to. But Rakos manages to find one onto Grubby and Ence. They continue to grind away at this Team Secret attack. However, look at this. Virtue has managed to get himself into a position to plant, and Ence, I'm not sure if they're aware of it. If they are, they're certainly not in a position to be able to do anything about it, and that will be stuck. A second attacking round where Secret have been able to get that diffuser down. Ence were able to successfully disable it last time. Can they do the same again?
I'll keep on waiting here as well. Adrian's had his shot. I don't think he'll get a chance for a second. Tim, they might just swing. Oh no, he finds his man. A second one coming round as well. I think they've got the idea on this one, Tim. He picks this off, and suddenly this is a complete and utter flip when it really looked like the other side were going on ahead. Another one falls. Virtue working his magic in the late round. Adrian can't hit his shots, and Virtue falls as well. Ence are bringing things all square at 4 apiece. I don't know what the hell is going on anymore, Tim, but it is proving to be one hell of a start to EUL Stage 2.
Yeah, Adrian really needed to be winning that fight. I don't want to be too critical, but that's the key moment there. There's seconds left to go. If he can take 2 more seconds over that gunfight even, just get 1 kill, it doesn't matter if they both die after that, because there's not going to be time to disable that activated diffuser. But no, it was perfectly timed. It was well done. Azok's managing to put up some big work for Ence there, and they fight their way back in. That's 2 attacking rounds to Secret, 2 plants, but 2 rounds lost. How about that from Ence?
Yeah, like I say, 2 halves to a game of Siege is a big flip, and understandably, Secret have called in a tactical timeout. They get a little time to sit down, have a chat with the coach, figure out exactly what is falling apart here, because the answer, Tim, seems to be everything. Since that side swap, we've seen them really start to struggle. Where it was Ence back in that first half, who couldn't really pull around together. They were far too slow. It just feels like Secret lack a lot of bite. We've seen a cool creative execute coming in with all the smokes, for example, and the glads coming out along with the blitz. But I feel, except for that, nothing has really been going their way for the most part, feeling very, very dominant on the side of Ence. Understandably, they want to have that pause, get themselves recollected here, get a few words of wisdom coming in, and hopefully go on to a next strong round. Because if this carries on, that'll be 4 on the bounce for Ence if they win this next round. At that point, the momentum is completely in their favor, and Secret's mental is going to be absolutely chalked.
I'm enjoying this for Ence. It's real kind of, it feels like it's real kind of, you know, by the seat of their pants. They're getting away with it. The diffuser keeps going down, but they fight their way back in. They had 8 seconds on the clock when they got onto it in that last round. It's just brilliant. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a bit chaotic, but you know what? It's working. We're coming away with results. They're showing an ability to at least be able to think and play on the fly. They're able to, you know, play in a changing environment. What's in front of them and what the problems are that they're facing. But good stuff from Ence so far. Certainly very entertaining Siege as they managed to take themselves another round. 4 in total now to level things out 4-4, coming into round 9. And given the, you know, the bit of dominance that Secret showed us round 2 to round 5, it really wouldn't have been expected that we'd maybe be in this position.
Absolutely not. Siege has its wonderful ways, Tim, of continually deceiving us and surprising us in equal measure. We'll see how things play out, though, for round 9. We always talk about this being such a critical round here, normally when it's a team that's sat at 5-3. Otherwise, they're running ahead to 6-3, or it comes back up to being 5-4. In this spot, though, both teams stacked dead even. Probably means we're going to find ourselves heading very close towards that overtime point again. Last map went 12 rounds. This one feels like it can go the distance as long as Secret can start pulling themselves back. And sure enough, we've got one cooked in here right in the corner. Going to have to find himself trying to get out. Almost shot from the far window, but gets away. Falls straight onto his back. Tim, don't worry about that one too much. I can feel your spine cracking just looking at it. But keeps himself alive, 5v5.
My spine crack's just getting out of bed these days, unfortunately, Des.
But you bounce out of bed every morning, Tim.
This morning I did because EUL was on, but you know, most of the time it's a
Is that your one bounce out of bed in the week? Is that all that's allowed?
Muscles, being careful I don't pull anything, you know, dealing with the back pain. It's, you know, it's not an easy start to the day.
Well, Tim, thankfully you only have to do that once a week, so you can now go and recharge for 6 days and come and bounce back out of bed again next time round we come to cast. Still, those things start out, no one going down just yet. Half the round elapsed as well, and we saw the attempts coming out from Azok's earlier, making use of this blitz. Of course, we saw Secret equally try and do the same with an execute of their own, just not quite to the efficacy they were looking for. Savage has got to find someone, though. Of course, Blitzer is most powerful here when your job is to run down, flash someone out, and try and get the kill. But also extremely good playing at distance for more of the information game. Seen it across both maps that we've had played so far today. And it's good aggression being shown by the side of Ence just to keep Secret at bay.
We get a little bit of aggression there from the Blitz, but Adrian does manage to take down Naquo. June picks up Skies, and so that is going to be a big loss there for Ence. 5 versus 3 now, as the pressure created by Savage there has just given that bit of space for Secret to be able to take advantage of things. But it's that man once again. How many times are we going to say Azox's name? 11-4 at the moment, and once again he drags his team back into this a little bit. 35 seconds left to go. Are Ence going to allow another opportunity for the diffuser to go down? It'd be 3 rounds in a row.
They've got to be so careful here. I don't think they realise that he's still nearby. They've really got the plan to come on through, and sure enough, they get away with it. I think a bit of a trade coming in as the Blitz does eventually fall down, but Secret, they've got the numbers, Tim. Azox springs into action, finds one for himself. Is the plant going down, though? It's in the back pocket here of Striker, but he's going to find the vertical angle. Can he get the shutdown in time? Has he got any idea where the man is? I don't think he does. Bout comes on through, finds one for himself. It's down to a 1 versus 1, but Virtue's going to give him nothing. Gets the round, and Secret finally break that win streak of Ence.
Yeah, Secret desperately needed that. It was their first attacking round that they've managed to get the win on, and it just gives them a little bit of that power back in this game. Virtue locking it out in the 1v1. Certainly not going to panic in that situation, but it was a great effort by Azox there. Drops down, gets the 1, and does everything he can really for Ence. But as I said, Ence feel like the last few defensive rounds, or all the defensive rounds so far rather, have been a little bit seat of the pants. Diffuser going down, just having to respond, having to react, and you just felt there was going to come a point where they would probably come short on one of those rounds, and that's exactly what's happened there. Unable to pick up the clutch that time, and it is going to be Secret successful this time after getting that diffuser on the ground. They put themselves back ahead, 5-4.
5 seconds left.
Just saw him really closing things out and winning it for the team there, but of course it had to be Virtue on the other side that was left in the 1 versus 1. Things stay tight. I'd still argue that for the most part there, Ence were the ones ready to play Disruptor. If nothing else, the real fast burst forward. Wow, words are hard today. The fast burst forward coming out from Secret was what gave them control of Library incredibly quickly. Then we had a couple of players from Ence still left downstairs, and Azox was the one kind of out on their own, like, well, okay, top 4's a little bit harder to retake here. I've got to play it nice and slow, but punishes that drone throw timing, gets the second inside of sight as well, drops for the third. Really looked like he was going to upset the apple cart there and really break the odds against the side of Secret. But full credit to Secret in the first place. They had to force him to make a play like that in the first place for him to be in a spot to have a potential big clutch coming out. So a much better round from Team Secret, and that tactical timeout clearly proven to be a bit of use for them.
Rakosh just having a little roam around on the Valkyrie there. A bit of attention towards the window at the top of West Main. Knows that there is the potential for a player being just outside of there, or maybe looking for an entry from that position after the barricade was shot out. It's going to be Doom who's playing in towards that position. I'm not sure that the players are quite aware of each other's presence, or at least not how close they are to each other, but we'll see whether they come together in an initial engagement or not. But for the time being, Secret just using that first minute to position themselves, get a few extra drones out there, just see what intel they can gather. There's certainly no rush in them.
Bomb located by attackers.
As Adrian manages to pick up a kill onto Lens. That's going to be our opener. And again, a long way into the round before we see that first kill coming in and the numbers sliding against Ence. And you just feel like this game's getting a little bit too much for them at this point, as Virtue elsewhere is getting that diffuser down. Kills continue to rain in, and once again, Ence having to play reactive siege here. Skies does manage to pick up one, but Gonna be a little bit difficult after he gets down to find any more. Adrian is there with a double virtue in the middle as well. That's gonna give us the round. That's gonna be Secret taking themselves onto match point. I'm not sure if we're hearing Des or not. There we go. I don't think we're hearing Des, but we'll get him back as soon as we can. We've got a little bit of a tactical timeout coming in as well from Ence here. No surprise, given the position that they're in. The tactical timeout last time around was for Secret. It was just before round 9. They've gone on to win both rounds back-to-back from that point and get themselves into a situation now whereby they are close to getting this win done. They need one more round to lock it down. So we're looking at Ence now and wondering whether they can have that same sort of effect, whether they can have that same sort of turnaround after that timeout. Akhtar is going to be doing his best as the coach, having his input now to try and stop the flow of Secret momentum here, but I don't know, I feel like it's maybe a little bit much for them at the minute. We'll see whether Des is back with us. Does he feel it's a bit much for them? I see his lips moving, I don't hear his voice, so I'll continue for now. We'll see where we go. We're going to have a basement as potentially our last defense coming in from Ence here. They are going to be looking to hold on to the entire map. We can see them just looking to set up around Kitchen and West Main for the time being. Opening the hatch, just again trying to create a few problems for Secret to solve. If you open that hatch, you can't just go in and take control of a garage, for example. It's going to allow the roamers to drop in behind you. Got to be careful. Make sure as attackers that you're dealing with that entire map and taking out all of those roamers.
Hello.
He's back.
Am I back? I see I'm actually back and you're not just trolling me.
No, it'd be a hell of a guess for what you were saying. It'd be some serious lip reading going on.
Is that how you were figuring it out? You were just watching my lips like yap away on another screen and going, yep, you're still talking. He's not talking anymore.
There's nothing worse than like having two casters like going at it over each other. So I thought if it's 20 seconds of silence and the stream can't hear Des, it's not the end of the world. We'll see what transpires. So,
well,
yeah, just
unfortunately for you, Tim, and all of the viewers' ears, I am indeed back in the game.
Are you just pretending now to see?
Nothing more to be said. Zumar said 2 minutes to play between Secret here and potentially that game win on day 1. We saw it come to a pretty close affair in our last game. In fact, it was 6-4 to Wolves at one point, up to 6-5, but then Wolves only to snatch things away with a couple of kills coming out of seemingly nowhere in the middle of that final round. At least an idea coming through as to where Secret are. So they've got the right sort of idea in mind. It's just about trying to pick off one of these players that are looking to be a little bit cheeky. Main breach already found itself opened up as well. Still 5 versus 5, though. No early deaths going down. Could be on the way for a real bloodbath, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the potential down here in basement. You get that main wall open very, very quickly. It's just applying that little bit of phantom pressure. You don't actually have to play anybody there if you don't want to. There is a plant option there. You can make a move from that side if you want to. But even just by opening it, it just gives them something else to have to worry about. They can't completely take their eyes off that breach. Now then, this is a real move from Secret here. They've managed to get a drone down into sight. It's not been picked up on, and that is feeding a ton of information in for Secret to know exactly what's going on inside a site, and Ence really need to be picking up on that sort of utility.
They do, and this is what's looking towards now. Smoke starting to come on through, which says all signs are a go. Execute is potentially at the ready, or it's just bait on the other side. Maybe a little bit of a preemptive one. Still no Warden on the other side, it's worth noting as well, Tim. So with those smokes on side, a lot of work can still get done here as long as they play it out right. But look at the mobility coming out of Ence here, particularly in towards the Azami as well. Moving away through the top floor. Rykos might be trying to get a little bit busy up above here, while Trench is the main focus for this Secret side. But Tim, they're going to have to go soon. We're down to the last 20.
Yeah,
Rykos
Krubby
gone.
getting the kill onto Rykos is going to mark that goal point as he manages to pick up a second onto Lems, and that is huge for Secret as Azox manages to find him, but the damage could already be done. The question is, can Secret confidently get a plant down here? Sky's picking up that kill onto Savage. Is probably going to stop that happening. There is no option for Virtue other than to try and stick this. He just starts throwing it down. Naquo manages to find one, and again, Ence, they are holding on, but Secret come back at them with a big blow as Virtue manages to take down Naquo, and now Secret just need to keep this diffuser alive. However, Virtue is going to be dropped as he goes out of the door. It's all up to June. We know that he's a match winner. Can he secure this? He's got himself the vertical. He finds one. Can he get the second? He's going to need to be challenged, but time is running out for Ence. They have no choice other than to play the diffuser, and June gets the final kill to pick up the win for Team Secret.
Massive turnaround from that TAC timeouts, and we speak quite a lot about the impact that coaches can have when they get involved during those TAC timeouts and point out what's been going wrong, but there was a bit of magic. 3 rounds on the bout, Ence almost managing to get back into it, but Secret take the round win. Now, I do hear the desk is ready nice and early, so let's throw over to them right now.
Detonates, thank you very much. We are ready nice and early. In fact, we're always ready, especially after a nice matchup like that. We have been treated to some magnificent siege to kick off this play day here. Secret beat Ence. I'm here with Alfama and Leo. Leo, I'll tell you what.
Alfama and Leo.
Yes, we're two now.
Sorry,
We're two now.
off I go.
All right.
Bye, 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 bye.
That's just in my dreams. Sorry, that's my bad. No, Alfama, we are seeing Secret looking like their old selves here, having fun.
Yeah, you know what? I told you I was disappointed in them because I expected more from them. And that's the good thing is if I expect a lot from them, it's because they're a good team. And it's exactly the right team that I saw here. The team that I saw before in Manchester, that I saw during the stage, qualifying to the major. That's the team that plays well together and plays well around huge individuals. And that plays around aggression, but not in a dumb way. Always calculated, always together. Every time they were so cool and collected when it mattered. Every time there was an execute on the bomb side, they retook together. The cohesion there was really cool.
It was convincing.
Yeah, it was very convincing. I look at controlling games, and then I look at the two halves. I look at the defense half and obviously the attack half, because you can't have anything else. But in the defense half, Secret managed Ence. They did a time which is force them to execute. They forced them to execute, allowed Ence all the time in the world to make those mistakes. Secret didn't make any mistakes on their defense, just allowed Ence to make them, and they got a 4-2 split on Chalet, which is very, very good because people like attacking into Chalet. It's a fun map to attack into. Once they got that 4-2 for Team Secret, they then stuck to their style that we're used to seeing. Those fast rushes, those like kind of exotic plays that are a little bit off the cuff, maybe a little bit pre-planned, but also a little bit weird and a little bit funky. They stuck with that, and it worked really well with them, particularly when they were trying to get the plant down. They succumbed to a couple of retakes, but that was it. So when I look at control of the whole game, Secret control basically every round for me.
I think Siege is all about balance, and who controls the pace usually wins. But that wasn't always the case. I feel like you said, especially when they were in defense, Ence was the one in control of the beginning of the round. They were the ones initiating in the very first round, the knock rush that won them the round. But very often, having these crazy executes with smokes, with glass, with blitz, they were the one initiating all of those. And yet every time, Secret reacted the right way. No panic, let's wait, and let's take them one by one. That round 2 on Clash in basement is the perfect example of it. Isolated gunfights.
Even that very final round that we just saw, that was a post-plan in a 1v2 scenario, and they knew how to see it home. If you're looking at all of these highlights here, win or loss, it's because Secret have navigated it to a point where they planted in the round, and I think that's a great thing that they've got going for them.
Standout player for you was Asox.
Yeah, I think he deserves praise here. Even though they lost, he deserves a lot of praise because I think he was the one carrying hard that team. He was the one bringing their rounds back. Even the last round, it's a 1v1. It should never have been a 1v1. He gets 3 kills with Jäger and should never get away with it because his flank was super effective, and he was even the first one that won the round 1 on knock, lurking around the bomb site, going in and killing everyone.
Look, it's not often I like to bring behind-the-scenes conversation to a broadcast. But I'm going to have to do it right here, right now, because something that Alfama said blew my socks off my feet. I'm not even kidding here. And I know that Fresh is going to agree with me here, but like, I was talking about Virtue, right? And I was saying, look, Virtue on a brand new roster, what do you think? How is he going to fit in? And you said, on paper, that Team Secret is better than the G2 roster?
You're really calling me out on this one.
Explain yourself.
No, I've
'Cause
got to say,
Fresh nearly spat his water out.
I
think
I did not agree with.
I would say that 90%, 99% of people would spit their water if they heard that. But
Yeah.
hear me out, okay? If you take Doki and Alemao out, because of two of these guys, like, I mean, come on, they're in the top 10 players in the world.
Yeah.
You cannot challenge them. If you take the three main players, Uno, Loira, and Blaz, and you compare them to the three best players on Secret, for example, I would say that it outweighs them. I'd say that Virtue could be better than Uno in terms of mechanical skill and back support. I would say that, anyone from Jum, for example, could be better than Blaz as a ranked hero and could bring more to the team. And I would say that probably someone like Adrian, that played amazing, by the way, this game, could have been better than Loira. So I would say that you could argue that strategically, I wouldn't say anything. Strategic depth, I wouldn't say anything. Experience, I wouldn't say anything.
He has got a point.
No, he hasn't got a point.
He's got a point.
Pure mechanical skill.
Your whole
a point.
argument is let's take away the two best players of G2 and let's take away the two worst
It's
players
a
of Secret.
five-man roster.
And then Secret are better, though. That's your whole argument. No. Also, we'll come back to it, but Blaz top frags every team he's been on, and Loira's one of the most highly sought-after Brazilians in terms of potential. I'm not having it.
You know what G2 is playing today. We'll see how good they play.
We will.
We will see. Maybe at the end of the stage, you know what? I'm waiting for the G2 versus Secret, and if Secret wins, you and me a beer.
Look, absolutely, and I'm down for that. But we talked about the Wolves roster and the new look roster. What did we make of them after just the one game? We've now seen Team Secret in action with a couple of changes as well. Fresh, how are you feeling about them now?
I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling about Secret. We obviously had a worry about Grubby coming into this roster late.
Yeah.
But one thing that we maybe didn't develop on is he was a critical part of this roster for a long time. So that's a natural slot back in.
Absolutely.
And Virtue was a clear and objective upgrade for me. So Secret already a top 2 team in the stage. They went to the major and they've upgraded. And you could see that today. It was a very thorough and professional performance, I thought, other than a couple of attack rounds that went wrong. And apart from that, I think they will be over the moon with that performance.
And these two guys were our main talking points because I would say that the three others are quite reliable, right? But Grubby, one thing that I wondered was he was benched and then he came back. What is his attitude? What is his mentality? He looked happy. He looked like he was having fun.
Sure.
And that was very important for me. And for Virtue, he was already impactful in so many rounds and a difference maker, especially early round in defense. So he slot back in very well, very well.
If you have just tuned in, where you been? We're cooking on gas here. We've already had 2 absolute banger matches, and it only gets bigger from here. On paper, this next one, barn burner. G2, Fnatic, it's next.